We are in the Tzidkas Hatzadik, Os Chaf Gimel. Every Os is a new Chiddush, all part of the same theme, which will go on and has gone on for about 20 Osios. So Tzidkas Hatzadik says as follows. Here's the Yesod. I probably said this before, that whenever Rabbi Tzadok, the first sentence in this Sefer, the first sentence of every Sif is the Yesod that he wants to say. This is the difference between Hasidic Svarim and Litvish Svarim. Litvish Svarim, you get the last of the Yesod at the end, V'lachein, summary. But in Hasidic Svarim, they say the Yesod, and then they tell you how they got to that Yesod. Okay. Klal Gadol. But here's the Yesod. B'chol Maaseh Hashem Yisbarach Yesh Siman Nikar Lamata. That's the Yesod. That everything that's going on in the Shemayim, every Maisa Hashem that's going on in the Shemayim, we have what's going on in the Shemayim, we don't see Malachim and all kinds of things that are going on in the Shemayim, Oilamais, Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, all the things that are going on in Shemayim. What do we know? So the answer is, Yesh Siman Nikar Lamata, something is happening here in this world. And if you're sensitive to it and you know what to look for, you will see that something is always going on in this world, which is a siman of what's happening in the Shemayim. So this is an important thing that almost whenever, I looked into this a little bit, when the Gemara says v'siman l'davar, many places in Shas, it says v'siman l'davar, here's your siman. The chicken is making noise. The siman is always means, what the words mean is that something is happening in Shemayim, maybe a very, very big thing, and it's manifesting itself in possibly a very, very small thing, dogs barking, something in this world. And if we can become sensitive to it, if we can understand it or learn about it, then we have some kind of an insight as to what's going on in the Shemayim. And when the Gemara talks about Gimel Mishmaris Havei Alayla, and there's a siman for every one of them, the purpose of the siman is that we can know here what's going on in the Shemayim. A little bit different than the last time we learned, where we said that Isarusa de Lasata is being Garim Isarusa Leila. It's a different Yesod. No steer, just a different Yesod. B'chol Maisa Hashem Yisbarach Yesh Siman Nikar Lamata. U'kamoi Shekasuv, as it says, B'Sefer Likutei Amarim Me'arebi Reber Zatzal. The Rebbe Reber was the Mezritcher Maggid, Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov, Rebbe of the Baal Tanya, and so many other Rebbes. He was like the passageway from the Baal Shem Tov to Chassidus, was the Mezritcher Maggid. Mezritcher Maggid. The Rebbe Reber. Reb Dov Ber. Reber. You know, I once mentioned this, that one of the, I think it was all you, Chayv, that one of the Hakdamas to the Tzidkas Hatzadik, written by, I think, Harav Abu Chatzira Na'ariya. He wrote that the Tzidkas Hatzadik, this particular Sefer Reb Tzadok, or a lot of Sarb, this particular Sefer Reb Tzadok is when Reb Tzadok came into the Ishbitzer, and he heard things that he never heard before. He was a Nechad Agra. Heard things that he never heard before. So whatever like really totally surprised him, he wrote down at Tzidkas Hatzadik. So this was his additional like, wow, you know, that's something new. That's what Tzidkas Hatzadik is. This is one of them that he heard b'shem the Rebbe Reber, the Mezritcher Maggid, who wrote a sefer called Magid Devarav Yaakov, ki chisaron shemagia latzadik, that if a tzaddik has a chasarn. What does that mean, he has a chasarn? I don't have any money today. I'm a tzaddik, I don't have any money. I'm a tzaddik, my health is failing. What's going on? What's going on with my sholom bayis? What's going on with my kids? That's called chasarn shemagia l'tzaddik. Hu l'siman loy, he should pay attention to tzaddik, and he should say, that's a siman. Remember what we just said? Everything that's a siman tells you something's going on in Shemayim. Something is going on in Shemayim, besides for your headache. Something is going on in Shemayim. Hula siman loy sheyeda that he should know she'oisai hachisaron b'shchina kiviyachol, that this chisaron is happening with the Shechina. Now, this needs an explanation, because what in the world doesn't mean to have a chisaron in the Shechina. But let's leave it for a second. I will attempt to explain it in a good Litvish way. But if I'm feeling some kind of a chisaron, the chisaron is not here. The chisaron is something in Shemayim, and Hashem is giving you a siman. Why the tzaddik, of all people, to give a siman to the tzaddik? Because he's the one who's supposed to do something about it. The tzaddik is the one who's Yesoid Olam. He's attached to the earth. Kiviyachol. Ayin Sham Ba'orech. And you can look at this Mezutcher Magid and Magid Rabbi Yaacov, page Hey, Ba'orech. V'zehu, and this is what it means when it says in the Gemara, I'll call Mishmar Shoeg, that whenever there's either a change in the Mishmar or the Ems of the Mishmar, Machlekes in the Gemara in Shamayim, right? We're dividing the 9 to 3. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shoeg, Kari. Hashem is Shoeg Kari. What does it mean he's Shoeg Kari? In other words, you're seeing or hearing dogs bark, or Chamar Noyer. You're hearing donkeys make noise. But what's really happening is in Shamayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is being Shoeg. Means he's roaring like a lion. The siman ladavar. So what do these words, the siman ladavar, mean? Ratzalaymar sheyesh siman nikar lamata. That there's a siman, you will know something is happening in this world. So it could be like really, something very, very dramatic, like if there's a big volcano erupts or something. Whoa, something's happening in the Shemayim. Pshita. But we're talking about, yes, and maybe that doesn't need like such a big tzaddik to say, the Chorban Beis HaMikdash, that was a big thing. So it's a siman that what? That the Shechina is unhappy, or there's a chasar to the Shechina, let's do something about that. But he's talking about Chol Chasar Shemagil LaTzaddik. If a tzaddik has to endure or hear something which is painful, so why? If you're a tzaddik, you have to ask yourself, why am I hearing this? Why am I seeing this? Why is Hashem making me see this ugly thing right now? Why am I hearing such a thing? The first eight is like, shut off the news. But the second, there's a siman, something that's going on in the Shemayim that we need to be mind. So a whole new Masechta. There's a whole new Masechta that we have to learn. What do the simanim lamata mean in terms of what's going on lamala?
In this context, who's a tzaddik? How can we decide that she can be there?
Or why only a tzaddik? Right. But the main question is, what does it mean that if I feel pain, the pain is in the Shechina? What does it mean that the Shechina feels pain? There's tsar for Hashem. Hashem has tsar. What does it even mean? And I think...
So what's the definition of the Shechina?
What's the definition of Shechina? More basic. Before I attempt to talk that out, in my Tzidkas Hatzadik, which is a good one, by the way, it has the whole lashon of the Mezutcher Magid. And I just want to read you a couple lines from the Mezutcher Magid itself. He says, which by the way, it says right in the, I don't know if the Baal Shem Tov himself wrote anything, but right in the Savos HaRivash, which is like one of the main writings of the Baal Shem Tov, it says almost these exact words. So what these were Rebbes, the Mezutcher Magid, etc., the Marinayim, they were saying things in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, more or less. So we're talking about Teres HaBaal Shem Tov. That's what we're talking about. And that's what he said. Almost the same lashon. Kishitzarich levakesh eze davar me'Hashem me'abayri yisparach. This is a lashon. When you have to, I pushed the noise description. Kishitzarich levakesh eze davar me'abayri yisparach. When somebody has a bakasha to make of Hashem, something is hurting me. Yachshav. The way to think about it, okay, everybody's been in this situation. And by the way, he doesn't say here tzaddik. The way to think about it is, shenishmasai whoever may hashchina, that my neshama is a limb or a part, extension of the Shechina. Kiviyachol ketipa min hayam, aver min hashchina. Let me say my language, that what goes on in what we are the nerve endings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you know, if your finger hurts or your head hurts, yeah, I mean it goes together. You can't separate your one. So the aver, if something is hurting here, it's hurting there. Now, this is not a Hasidic idea because it's a pasuk b'chol tzarasam lo yitzar. Somehow or another, there's pain felt in Shemayim when we have pain, but here he's saying it a little bit different. That when we have pain, that means that there's pain happening in Shemayim.
Is that also a Kriya L'Kasiv?
Yeah. Yes. I want to get to that. We'll look at the Talmud Dvar again. Says the Baal Shem Tov, V'yivakesh ala Shechina. So at that moment, say a prayer for the Shechina. She'oisei davar hu chaser la Shechina. Something is felt up as in the Shechina. V'yiyaloya amuna, and then have the emunah, have the faith. Shebevadai hu payil milamala lehashchina. You should know that your tefillah is for the Shechina, and it's doing something. Raki miyadavu karoi ela Shechina, and if you help the Shechina, bear with me for a minute, yismashech gam kein hashefa alav. So automatically my headache will get better. You see what's happening? So Tzadok has a tsar, or a person has a tsar. So if you have a tsar, you daven for your tsar. Hashem, give me parnasa. Hashem, give me health. But there's another way of doing it, which is much more roundabout. Maybe it works better, much more difficult. And that is that, okay, I have a headache. So now that means there's some kind of a chesaron in the Shechina, whatever. So now daven for the Shechina. The Shechina shouldn't have this chesaron. And then automatically my headache will go away. You hear the chap? I'm going to try to explain it very simply in a minute, but let me just get his lashon, because I love this mashal. Kemashal. I love his mashal. Adam sheyesh lo simcha. If a person is overcome with happiness, you hear a wonderful piece of news or something like that. You're overcome with happiness. Mitapeach biyad. Why do we do that? You hear something gewaldig, you have your hand, bang on the table. Wow. Right? Everyone has their own thing to do. Slapping, that's a knee slapping joke. Huckleberry Finn. Knee slap. What? Makesher. You're clapping your hands because you're besimcha. He's not talking about applauding. He's talking about there's a reflex that goes on. Why? So he says, Machmasha simcha mispashatas be'ever, because a real simcha goes all through the system. And since it goes all through the system, it's mispashatas be'ever, and now you got to do something. You got to do something. Kol atzmai sai tayvar. Right. So in other words, like those that like to shuckle when they're davening. So you're not shuckling to have kavanah. When you have kavanah and you're overwhelmed with ruchni, your body is shuckling, I guess. Shasimcha mispashatas be'ever. Kain hu be'inyan zeh. So the same thing is here. Shu ever me'ashchina kiviyachol. If a person is attached to the Shechina, yismashkech gam kein hashefa alav. So that shefa will cause a difference in this world and in this body of mine, in this life of mine, and society of mine. It'll make a difference because I'm davening for the Tzara Shechina. Before I explain the Shechina, go over there. I just want to point out for the skeptics here that in Nefesh HaChaim, Shar Beis Perek Yud Aleph, the whole Shar Beis Perek Yud Aleph, which many of us learned together, where he's talking even more basic. What are we davening for altogether? Basic question. Hashem knows what we need, why we're davening. And he tells us that Amnam tachlis hakavona tzricha shetia rak tzarech gavoya. Here's where the Nefesh Chaim puts down his yisoid, that all tefillah has to be l'tzarech gavoya. We're not davening for ourselves, we're davening for Hashem. Ki b'makom sheyesh chilul shmo yisbarach hagoin tzares klal Yisrael. Let's say there's a tzares klal Yisrael, God forbid there's some terrible thing going on for klal Yisrael. V'hei mamukim u'unim, and we're being downtrodden and we're being hurt. When we daven to Hashem, we have to daven to Hashem. Chilul Hashem or Chilul Shema Yisbarach. Isn't this a Chilul Hashem? There's Chazal Mefurish that says that when we were Avanim in Mitzrayim, the Tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Chazal speak it out, is that it's really in the Psukim that Chilul Hashem. Here you promised to Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. You made a bris with them. What's going on? People are being slaves and killed. Isn't this, by the way, just l'saber sois? And I mean, this is the Chilul Hashem of history. Meaning, it was the early Christians that said that there was a Chorban Beis Hamikdash because God left the Jews. On and on and on and on. If God is with us, and there is a God, you can take it from any angle you want. So why are the Jewish people suffering so much? So who's really suffering over here? We're here today. We're going tomorrow. Who's really suffering over here? The Kavod Hashem. Before Shabbos, yes, yeah, Parak. Yeah. I would add there's psukim all over. The Taich is here. Nefesh Chaim. Ba'ach laman shmo yaseh. You should always worry about this. But gama yochid al tzar. It doesn't have to be the whole Klal Yisrael's in tzar. Gama yochid al tzar. Afi mein chil Hashem badover. Yesh makom gankin levakesh lefanav yisbarach al goydel al tzar shel mala bizman she'adam shari b'tzal lamata. Of course, Hashem has tzar when we have tzar. Chol tzarasam. Tzar. Which he doesn't bring that pasuk. He brings the Gemara in Sanhedrin Mishnah. I think Mishnah and Sanhedrin Perek Vav. Amar Rabbi Meir, Bisman she'adam mitztayer, Shchina maloshen oimeres kolani miroshi kolani mizrayi. That's how you say that, by the way. Kolani miroshi kolani mizrayi. Rameir is Vart. Rameir says that when a person has tsar, so Rameir, we're not talking about Nefesh Chaim, we're not talking about the Bezrit Shemagid, Rabbi Meir, Mishnah. Rabbi Meir says that when a person has tsar, kolani miroshi kolani mizrayi. First of all, let's translate.
So
Now that you spoke up.
That's saying that that's referring to when somebody's executed.
That's what the sugya is. Yeah. What does it mean?
It means my head is too heavy for me.
Lashon kal. By the way, if I'm not in the sugya right now, it's machlek zabai and Rava in the Gemara. What did Rameir mean when he said
I'm too light for my head?
Yeah. Kali.
Yes, but the relative thing is that I am too light for my head means my head is too heavy for me.
Which means what?
It's like I'm way down.
Can't deal with this.
Can't deal with it. So Rameir said, who's saying this? Shechina. So also, by the way, interesting lashon. There's so many tangents that my Yetzirah is running in right now. Shechina ma lashon oimeres. But what is the lashon of the Shechina when a person is bitzar? What is the lashon of the Shechina when a person is bitzar? Kolani mi roishi, kolani mi zrayi. Nasano, what's the pasha of the taich?
It's difficult to deal with.
The Shechina has a difficulty.
Dealing with somebody is difficult for the Shechina.
Yeah. So, in other words, kolani, like it's tough.
Kolani couldn't be a lashon of a curse.
It is. That's machlek zabai v'rov. Whether it's lashon of kal, like Shol's saying, or that's how Gemara has the baskana, lashon of klala. which is same lashon. Same lashon. When you get down to it, it's kal and klala, and it's all the same thing. Taking something which should be weighty and you're making it into a nothing. So the Shekhinah, let me just think about it for a second. So the Shekhinah, because I'll go on to make a dimyan of, Rashi brings, I believe, Kalani Miroish, Kalani Mizroish, Tefillin Shal Rosh, Tefillin Shal Yad, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It means that the Maharal explains that Tefillin Shal Rosh of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whatever that means, Tefillin Shal Rosh of HaKadosh Baruch Hu means that Hashem's Hashgacha Pratis, Tefillin Shal Rosh. Tefillin Shal Yad of HaKadosh Baruch Hu means the koach and the zroa of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So in other words, there's two things. Hashem is watching everything, and Hashem can do anything. Kalani miroishi, kalani mizroi. I'm paralyzed, kivyachol. Hashem says, like, I'm not just bitzar, but I'm paralyzed over the fact that my hashgacha and my koach is being stifled here by the Maaseh Bnei Adam. So, what do you want to say?
No, I just wanted to ask a question. Up until today, it seemed that we were talking sort of macro, shalosh mishmarot. That's what goes on, and every 4 hours related to the Kohanim. And all of a sudden now we've shifted to
very personal.
Tefillah.
Very personal.
How did he shift from Chaf Beis to Chaf Gimel?
Yeah, so I mentioned that this is not what we were talking about last time. You see, it's even more than that. It's my I have a headache and my tefillah. So let me just explain something which is pashut. I just want to speak it out. A couple of pashut things. Number one is Hashem created the world. Just want to remind everyone. For a reason. For a purpose. If you learn Torah, you can know a little bit of the purpose that why Hashem created the world. If you learn Torah, you can learn a little bit about why Hashem created us, what we're doing in this world, what's our job in this world, what's our mission in the world. But there's a certain energy budget, if you will, of energy that comes from the Shemayim to the Aretz. Hashras HaShechina is when the Shechina is here in this world. This is what I understand from years of learning in Svarim. That the Shechina is Hashem's presence in this world. Shoichin, Lashon Shechina, Shechina, Shachin. The Beis Hamikdash helped with this. The Mishkan helped with this. Our Tefillah helps with this. Every Beis HaKnesses helps with bringing the Shechina into the world. Mitzvahs help with this. Avos Yisrael helps a lot with this. So the Shechina is kind of like the energizer or the budget that we have to be able to do our task in this world and make the world to the purpose that Hashem created it for. If we mess up, there's a tsar in the Shechina, meaning the whole process is not working. Here's the cycle. We start with Hashem, what created a world. He energizes the world. And we're doing our purpose in this world. It's going back onto the Shemayim, and it's coming around and around, and it's a beautiful thing that Hashem wanted. Until we cut the wire. Klani miroishi, klani mizroi. We cut the wire, so it's like we have tsar, we're cut off. We're cut off. But think about the tsar of the Shechina. He created the world, and you guys are making a Migdal Bavel, or you're doing stuff that's making me destroy the world. This has to cause tsar. It's not hard to understand what tsar of the Shechina means. Maybe it's not tsar as we understand tsar. It's hard to kivyachol. But the kivyachol is that, in other words, the program is not working. Why is it not working? Because we've disrupted it. Something is wrong. So that's what the tsar of the Shechina means, l'dati. Something that we need to be conscious of all the time.
System's not functioning.
Systems are functioning. Exactly. So
what does it mean,
so it's not just that Hashem feels our pain. It's not just our pain. It's the whole situation is a painful situation.
But it says lo. It says lo with an aleph.
kilkel in the
Like
system.
Midasatim.
I met a guy here in the tourist who I know from 30 years ago, so he's telling me that, how's your kids? They just got divorced. Sorry to hear. Terrible, he's telling me terrible divorce, this and that. So I said, yeah, it's terrible. I knew his kids. So he says to me, and I spend so much on the chasana. He says, you don't know, I did everything, the best hall and the best food and the best music and the best photographer and the best caterer. So like, just a couple of days ago, I first looked at it cynically, like, this is your problem, that you lost $250,000 on you dropped on a wedding and the wedding doesn't work. What he's saying is that, there's a system. I think this is what he really meant. I made a shidduch and I put everything I had into it, and I tried to build something here, and I bought him a house and the whole thing, and then it doesn't work. So there's the tsar of, of course it's not. I mean, it's probably also the $250,000, but it's the system broke. Something didn't work, and when something doesn't work, if you're a Ben Torah, you're looking at the whole thing that didn't work. You're not just looking at my little division here that broke down. My place where I'm getting the whole system is down, and this is there's a million mashalim to it. The Mezritch Magid is clap your hands. Like this is a normal reflex system that when you're besimcha, it goes through your avarim. You clap your hands. You start to dance. What do we dance? You get lazy people, all of a sudden they start to dance. But mazah, it means it went through my system. It's not just cerebral. It's not just it went through the system.
The tzaddik is the one who sees the whole system.
Yeah, so the tzaddik sees and feels the whole system. And Mamela, Meir said, "Kalani miroishi, kalani mizroyi." I just want to I'm not a psychologist, as you know. But there's so much discussion now about like attachment theory. So in lay terms, they speak more about detachment than they speak about attachment. But in lay terms, like from the moment we're born to be attached to our mother, always looking for that attachment. In order to function, you need a society, you need a community, you need you can't really function in a vacuum. That's the theory. And part of that attachment theory, which they don't speak about probably, is the attachment to Hashem. It's all part of the same. It's all part of what it means is that there's a system that we were created into. So if you go off on your own and you're not attached to anything, do I have it right? If you're not attached to anything, so you're off on your own. So that you're not going to be able to have the energy to continue. We're not made. Is there anything? I mentioned this at Shul a few weeks ago. I see my little observation is that people are happiest when they're doing chesed for other people. I just look at it and I see. There's like nothing that makes people happier. It's like amazing. And, not only talk about writing a check or giving stuff, like if you have the opportunity to walk a little old lady across the street, you feel so good. It made me happy. Why? Because because we're attached. That's what we're created to do that. Like the way Hashem created the world, there's a whole community here involved. There's givers and takers. The Gemara says this. Why did Hashem make aniyim? Because otherwise who are we going to give tzedakah to? So we won't give tzedakah. We won't be happy. There's nothing we're going to be able to live for if we're not going to be able to do chesed for other people. Why do people have such sorrow when they don't have children? Because I want to give to my children. I want to give to my children. It's the cycle. But the difference is here that we have to put Hashem into this attachment theory, into this attachment cycle, and everything has to work together. So therefore, I'm just explaining. Therefore, comes out a very, very clear thing. Nefesh Chaim and Tzidkas Hatzadik, that when I'm davening, so you can daven in a vacuum for yourself, or you can daven for the tsar of the Shechina. I just want to point out the Tamer Tevara, which we also learned together if you're sticking around for long enough. So the Parak Rishon, the Midah HaRavias here, L'Sheiris Nachlasa. Very good. Hine HaKadosh Baruch Hu Misnaigim Yisrael B'derech Zu. We had these words memorized, yeah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu acts with the Jewish people. Omer Ma Esa Li Yisrael V'hem Kroivai She'er Basar Yeshli Imahem. Hashem says, when it comes to Klal Yisrael, what should I do? Klal Yisrael. Hem Kroivai. She'er Basar Yeshli Imahem. Shem Bas Zug La HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'kar La Biti HaChoisi Imi. Yisrael Am Kroivai Mamish Kurva Yeshla Imahem Ubanavhem. In the Ramak, this is written by the Ramak, but in the Ramak and the Pardes, remind him where this comes from. So he's Meir on the fact that you'll find a case of twins, for instance, Share Basar, where they could be on different sides of the world, maybe never even met each other, and they will feel the pain of the other one. It's been scientifically proven. Ben kach and ben kach. What she does say.
That's when we pass him like the That's when we pass him like the
So Kadosh Baruch Hu, here's the Tamer Tevara's part. Kadosh Baruch Hu isn't the same thing. Nefesh Chaim, Tzidkas Hatzadik, same thing, right? That Kadosh Baruch Hu is tied into us, like I said at the beginning. We are the nerve endings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ma Esem Yisrael, if they're in plain. Then he goes on to say, B'chol Tzarasam. Here. Hainu l'sheiris nachlasa. That's what, like share basar. Share means a continuation. You're attached. Attachment. Sheiris nachlasa. L'shain share basar v'saif saif heim nachalasa u'ma oimer. Hashem says, what can I say? Im anishem harei akev alai. This is not just like, like that sheker that parents say, like, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. Bam. Like that's how it's not that, like, it's a much deeper thing than that. That it means that the system is faulty, and you faulted the system, and I have tsar, meaning the system. I created a world. The system is faulty when we're not doing our his ratzon. So iman nishem. Okay, so what Hashem said, what am I going to do? So I'll give them an einish. But what did I do if I give them an einish? Arei akev alai. Have I actually? This is what the Torah says. Hashem says, have I actually helped anything by giving them an einish? Kidechsiv b'chol tzarasam lo tzar. Ksiv ba'alef. Ksiv Akri, somebody mentioned. Ksiv ba'alef. Loimer shetzarasam magia lapela elyon. Aleph is always the pela elyon, which means it comes all the way to the shemayim. We'll do partsufin. Okay, we'll leave that for now. V'karinan vav lo tzar kipshuta. He has tsar ksiv tiksar nafshay ba'amal Yisrael. By Mitzrayim it says HaKadosh Baruch Hu tiksar nafshay ba'amal Yisrael. V'sheina soivel tzaram ukloinam mipnei shehem sheiris nachalosai. There's the Tamer Dvara that just like Hashem is attached to us and feels our tsar, kach adam im chaveroi. Same thing is between us, right here. Kol Yisrael heim sher basar elum elu. The attachment works not just up down, but around and around. So everybody's attached to everybody. We all feel each other's pain, and if we don't, it means we've cut ourselves off and we're doing something. Because you know this, that before HaKadosh Baruch Hu created our neshama, he created a neshama klali in the shemayim, and that neshama klali broke up into all our different neshamas, but we're still, the nerve endings are still there. So just like twins obviously came from one, whatever the biology is, but it came from one, and brothers or sisters come from one. The whole Klal Yisrael comes from one neshama, so if the whole Klal Yisrael comes from one neshama, so it's going to hurt. Look at the pain that's going on. One hurts the other, one feels the other's pain, and Hashem is in this triangle. Kol tzarasam lo tzar. Kol Yisrael heim she'er basar elu im elu. Mipnei she'haneshama is klulos yachad. because the neshamas are all one. Yesh bazeh chelik zeh, bazeh chelik zeh. Each one has a chelik in the other one. Each neshama, each one of our neshamas. L'kach ein adoyim merubim moisim esamitzim neklolusam. Why are we down with a minion? Down with a minion. That's what Klal Yisrael means. That's what Knesset Yisrael means. That's what all these things mean. We're trying to reach. This is an Ara Avodah. We're trying to reach the neshama klalis. Like I always mention this. Like we have to try to become a neshama klalis. Like, really be sensitive to the neshama klalis, because that's the neshama. Like you'll see, like real gedolim are above it all. They're above the politics and above the splits, and the real gedolim. The real gedolim are above it all. Most inspiring picture I saw in the last few weeks was a picture of the Toldazaran Rebbe, Sharm, being Mavaker Choiler of Druckmann. Sitting and talking. So I don't, like politics aside. Tzadikim, meaning like they're talking on a different level altogether. They're talking the level of neshama klolis instead of talking the level of instead of talking politics. Can we be like that? So, but here's the deal with this: that if we're not like this, I don't know. It's so hard. I just find it so hard. But if we're not like this, so then we're splitting everything apart. We've ruined the whole circuit. We learned the detachment, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes Chorban Beis HaMikdash, and comes Galus, and comes all of these things. So it's really like, it seems to me like a very simple thing that whatever we can, if we can get plug into the neshama klalis, so then we can take away the tzar of the Shekhinah, and the Shekhinah is happy to be here. Shekhinah becomes part of the world. Shekhinah is a Beis HaMikdash. Beis Yisrael. There's peace in our homes, peace in our country. Like that's what it comes down to. So it's all about this she'er. The key word here is she'er. Let's create this.
What does he mean with the muscle? The muscle. What does that mean in terms of what's the intro? How do we understand our relationship in that context?
Where emo? Or me? I'm just not sure what you're talking about. You're talking about that B'chol Tzarasam Lo Tzar?
Yeah. One of the Shalom there was emo, no?
Oh, yes. Each one of these things. What was his lashon here? Kari la biti achoisi imi. Different places in Tanakh, Klal Yisrael is called my daughter, the daughter of Israel. Achoisi, my sister, basi laganai. Achoisi kala. Unto itself enigmatic. Achoisi kala. And imi.
I usually think of the neutral as we're being united.
Right.
This is something.
Right. So this is probably the Sarusa de Lasata that we're talking about. That's new. The Nefesh Chaim is full of Tznu Ois Leilokim. Tznu Ois Leilokim. So okay, there's so much to say. I just want to say to Rashi Prakim that it travels through the world. I like this thing with the that the Mezritcher Maggid says that in other words, it means to say that there will be a reflex. It doesn't start here, it doesn't start there. It's one circle. Circle doesn't start anywhere, end anywhere. Hashem created a circle. So the circle is such that if we're share basar, if we put it all together, everyone can plug into the higher level neshama klalis. And if we're share basars, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu becomes part of that circle, and we become part of that circle, there's no tsar of the Shekhinah. And as he says, the Shekhinah is Shiur, and all the pain goes away. That's what he says. So the tzaddik is not davening for his pain; he's davening for the Shekhinah comes out, because that's a better thing to do. Let it be better. Let it rain down bracha from Shemayim. When it rains down bracha from Shemayim, then everything works. And right now, like if you look at a lot of the world, everything is broken. So what do you do when everything is, there's a war? That means something's broken. When people are suffering, it means broken, and pandemics and all kind so we need Shekhinah. So the Shekhinah comes from everything getting attached, rebuilding the circle. And
Is that the definition of Shekhinah?
Shekhinah, sure. Thank you very much.
I'm saying that every action we do here has a corresponding action.
That's what he says.
I'm saying every action. It's not just if I'm thinking of a shed or whatever. If there's anything broken down here, it's because of what we didn't do. Or
Part of the circle.